The Mission Impossible 318 is back from the dead like a phoenix. Stay tuned. Okay, so I'm actually in my new shop. I know that it's been a while since I posted a video. A lot of changes, including I'm wearing glasses now. It is early Friday morning, around 7:30. Got a lot of driving to do today, but let's talk about Mission Impossible because it's coming back from the ashes like a phoenix. Getting moved in over here at the new shop. And what is the first thing that I bring to the shop? 318 parts. I go over to DV's, clean out the 318 parts. The Charlie Savidio Magic 318 heads. These are 675 castings. We have valves here. Really cool 2-barrel spacers that Charlie had made. Looks like a super sucker for a 2-barrel, doesn't it? Really cool stuff. The BBD back there. A cutaway 318 that David and I did. You can see how thick the decks are. Exhaust manifolds. We have 3 different 2-barrel manifolds. Got the single plane one, earlier one, early dual plane, and then a later truck manifold right here. The famous 318-3 steel, forged steel crankshaft. But all of this is fine, but there's one thing missing. I'm getting ready to drive probably 650 miles, 600 miles, something to that effect, to go pick up an engine block out at my buddy Shane Polito's house. Now, he has done some extensive oil modifications to this block, and we will get into why that stuff was done later in the video once I get there. But there's going to be 2 versions of this engine. The first version of this engine is going to be built in the original incarnation, the original intent, 318 2-barrel with the Charlie Savidio heads, exhaust manifolds, a 2-barrel intake, BBD carburetor, so on and so forth. We want to see how much power we can get using the stock components or stock-ish in stage 1. Will we make over 318 horsepower? We're going to find out. And then, while it's actually on the engine dyno, we're going to strip all of that stuff off and we're going to swing for the fences. How are we going to do that? Well, you got to watch this video to the very end because we make another stop after I go to Shane's house. And it will explain a little bit about stage 2 when you see what's in store. But I'll give you a little hint right now. You know I'm a tunnel ram guy, tunnel ram mafia for life. Yes. What you're looking at here is a vintage TR5 Edelbrock tunnel ram for Small Block Mopar. This is like a new old stock deal. Got a really good deal on it. Paid 550 bucks for it, which that is a lot of money, but when you look at these things on eBay, they go for nearly $1,000. And the reason why I say it's never been bolted on an engine, new old stock, there's no witness marks around the bolt holes to indicate that it was bolted on there. Sure, it has sensor, you know, this stuff in it, but I don't think it was ever bolted on. So this will give you an idea of what's getting ready to happen for version 2.0. The main thing is, it's early Friday morning, like 7:30. I've got to head over to Micah's, pick him up, because he's going to go with me, and we're going to head to Memphis, Tennessee. We've got a long ways to go and a short time to get there. See you in a bit. We made it to our destination. 10 hours later, here we are. So why did I drive to almost Memphis, Tennessee, or right outside Memphis, Tennessee, for a 318 block? You got to ask yourself that question. Well, I got to introduce you to somebody, but first, I got to give a thanks to Just Mopar Joe, because he donated this block, and then Shane took and his expert knowledge he has of the Small Block Mopar and made modifications to the oiling system so that we can actually rev this thing well past 7,000 RPMs without worrying about it coming apart. The Small Block Mopar oiling system has a lot to be desired. For everybody who does not know, this is Shane Polito, Professor P in our world. He's well known in the Mopar world. Got a YouTube channel called Slant Daily Garage. Well, this is a Slant 6, and you get the understanding of why his channel. And he's got all of these cool Dodge Darts here. Yeah. But we're going to show you the special one here in a little bit.
The Cookie Monster.
So tell us a little bit about these oiling mods and why it's so important to do.
Let's take a look. Actually, I have a video on it, and we can link the video.
Look, after you get done watching this, I'm going to put that up in the corner up in here, and you need to go watch it. You can learn a lot.
So what I do on these is that I put a copper tube down inside here. So there's one press from this side. And then since the oiling is coming from the back, I'm using the high pressure oil from here, and I'm bypassing this line, and I'm feeding it right to the front. This cuts down on the velocity inside the oil chamber, so that way you have constant flow, because if you can have volume and less pressure, that's what you're actually achieving with this. Since he's still going to run ahead and he's still going to oil these up to the top, I put set screws in here, and we're going to run a camshaft that's got a full groove in it, and on these it's 109,000, so that way it has constant flow, so that way you're not pulsing the oil.
Yeah, because typically this side tries to push oil vice versa through here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and also too, on the heads, on the number 2 and number 4, they're feeding the actual heads themselves up in here.
Okay.
To the rockers, because these are these are through the block fed to the rockers. So, yeah, this is something I was doing, and then I did this one. This is for what I would do for hydraulics. Here's another one that I did.
And that video is up on YouTube as well, so yeah, I'll put a link to it as well. So, and you also did oil pump mods, which are really important.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's make them go watch the video.
Yeah, go watch the video.
If you want to learn how to do this stuff, it's imperative you go do it. I do have a question.
Sure. With
that tube being in there, do you not worry about not having oil feeding the sides of the lifter? Does the splash and everything good enough?
Yeah, well, it's actually because it settles down inside here and it pools up. That's why these are up high enough.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of oil that's coming down.
I've had people ask me that question, and I thought, man, this has been a long time Mopar trick.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. On a solid lifter, it's not a problem. In the Cookie Monster, I have solid rollers in it.
Yeah.
And it's splash fed just like this. It works just fine.
So this is something I'm kind of curious about with the funny lifter angle bank.
Yep.
The Small Block Mopar.
59 degrees.
59 degrees. When does it become a problem running a roller in these blocks?
I turned mine to 8,500.
So it's kind of a moot point, really, for the average person.
Yeah, the only thing you have to really look at is the deflection angle. So you have to have a really good push rod. I use a tapered push rod, so it goes to it starts 3/8 to a 7/16, and that will help the initial taper on it. Also, too, camshaft profile makes a big difference as far as blow down and lift. So you're really trying to bring it off the seat at a slower rate, but then you can ramp it up exponentially from there.
Gotcha.
You're not trying to shock the system.
So, knowing what you know about this engine,
sure.
How much power do you think it's going to make? I'm hoping for over 5. Does that sound?
What heads are you going to run?
Well, we're going to 2 different versions.
Okay.
All right, we got the Charlie Savidio heads, which is the factory 318 cast, and he got 240 CFM through a 178 valve.
Okay.
Extreme high velocity, probably too high. because I think it was like 350, 360 feet per second, which is getting up there.
I can tell you on a 318, where I had one that was 40 over on a bore, and then I had one that was 80 over on a bore with W2 style heads. I made 500 horse at 7,500 RPM. So you should make 500 horse easily.
So especially with those special parts that coming in part 3 of this little trip escapade.
That's right. So, tomorrow, day 2.
Day 2 of the travel extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. Let's go check out the Cookie Monster. Then you'll see why I'm here. So this is the reason why. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you. When I don't know something, I'm not going to make it up and try to BS my way through it and slap something together and hope for the best. That's not the way I operate. So whenever I'm working outside of my realm, such as like with this Small Block Mopar, even though I'm a Mopar guy at heart, you want to get someone who knows the ins and outs to save you from the headaches and hassles. The School of Hard Knocks is not fun, and it's really expensive. Ask me how I know. So check this out. This is the beast right here. Tell them a little bit about this combination, Shane.
Yeah, so what we have here, this is a factory block. This is not an R block, this is a factory block. Actually, I did say that this was an 87, but actually looking back on my videos, this is actually a 70 block. The 87's inside. I had them wrong. So this is an actual 1970 block, factory block, and it's a 420 cubic inch. This car's gone, you know, mid 5s, the way you see it with setup, and it's a street car and it's a full weight. This is all, it's all steel and that's all glass.
All glass.
And it's registered street car.
So. You said it's a little bit over 3,100 pounds going to
3,140 down the track with me in it.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Pounds. Yeah.
So here you go, Mopar folks. This is why I drove all the way to Memphis, is because you want to find someone that has been there, done it, and has got a reputation of making stuff last. Period. Well, we got the 318 block loaded up. Special thanks to Shane here.
Awesome. Got
Micah here. Say hey.
Hi.
So now that the second part of this trip's over with, you got to stick around for part 3, and that's tomorrow. So we got to go home or go to the hotel and get some rest. See you tomorrow.
Take the next
got an
left,
F100 and a Lightning here.
I guess this is where we can park. I guess it matters.
Okay, so I told you about the stop for the 318 stuff, right? Well, you know we're here at Edelbrock today at their annual open house cruise in, which, you know, not much of a cruise in because of, well, we got tornadoes coming and bad weather. But let me show you what we got in store for Project Mission Impossible. All of this right here. I cannot thank the Edelbrock group enough for coming on board with Unity Motorsports Garage in making this project happen and other projects. I mean, it is super cool because this 318 has been on my to-do list. It's been a bad thing. I mean, I want to get it done. And this right here, we're going to get this thing knocked out. And we're going to make some real power, ain't we?
At 500.
500 minimum.
500 minimum.
So, once again, I got to give Joe a big thanks for the block here. You can see it's a 68 model block. We're going to get this stuff loaded up and head back to North Carolina before bad storms get here. So, as you can see, we got it all loaded up. Got something for the Crown Vic right there. Shane, I appreciate your time.
No problem,
appreciate your friendship.
Anytime. And donation.
Donation.
Yep.
So when we get this thing on the pump and start making hot water, can I bribe you to come to North Carolina?
Oh, absolutely. I'll come out. I'll check it out. Yeah, because I want to see it. I want to see it run.
All right.
I want to come too.
You will love it. So we'll have this thing on the engine dyno over at Charlotte and have Shane there.
And cash.
And cash. And we're going to head to North Carolina. You ready to go home, Micah?
Let's go.
Let's go. See ya. What do you think about our trip, man?
It was good. Got a lot of cool stuff there at Edelbrock.
I wasn't expecting like some of that back door tour stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, when the man says, I have the only key to this room, yeah, you know you're going to see some cool stuff.
Yeah, when you hear those words, I mean, that's something that you just don't see every day. So we're actually driving down, I don't even know what interstate this is.
We're on 22.
22. We're headed south going back home.
Yeah.
We're trying to outrun weather. Birmingham. So we came across on I-40 and now we're taking the southern route trying to escape bad weather.
Six hours to go.
Yeah, 6 hours to go. Well, it is now Sunday morning. We made it home last night around 11 p.m., give or take, and avoided the storms, thank goodness. I know that Memphis area, they got really bombarded with flooding and so on, so hope everything's okay out there with those folks, but had a really good time with our visit with Shane and his family. My only regret is I wish we could have stayed longer. Enough yapping. Let's talk about what we actually picked up with Edelbrock. It's going to be good stuff, y'all. Let's take a look. First order of business. Set of aluminum Performer RPM cylinder heads. See right there is the part number. Remember, this is version 2.0, so good stuff. We have here comp steel shaft mounted rockers with adjustable ends so that we can run a traditional cup style push. I mean, not a cup style, but an actual ball end push rod. So that'll make life easy. And then one of the things that I'm wanting to accomplish with the 318 here, I've got to mic this thing out, see what the bores are. Now Shane actually sonic tested this at his house and he said we're over 200 thousandths thick in the cylinder wall. So that is great news, which means we shouldn't have to worry about anything. He did say that it needs to be line honed because the bores are egg shaped, no big deal. I think Daniel Powell is going to come on board and do the machine work on this. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm going to talk to him about doing the machine work on this and grinding the crankshaft for me. And then intakes. We have a Torquer 2 intake right here. There's the part number. The trusty Performer RPM air gap. See that? And then we have a Victor 340 right here. And there's that part number. And of course, all of these intakes are going to be topped with a 750 VRS. That's what I'm talking about. But we also have an 800 AVS too right there to do some dyno testing with. A lot of good stuff coming up. Basically, I want to do the most comprehensive dyno testing that's ever been put on YouTube regarding a small block Mopar. I want to start out with the 2-barrel stuff, transition to a 340 stock intake that John Wilburn actually has sitting on the shelf, then do the old traditional LD4B and LD340 and see how it compares against these other manifolds, along with the trusty tunnel ram. That's going to come out on top. But anyways, that's just my guess. A lot of exciting things is happening right now. Like I said, this is, I'm ready to get this back on the front burner, get this engine project started, get it going, and hopefully by middle to late summer, probably late summer, actually have it on the dyno. I say that because we have racing to do with Casper coming up. A lot of different things. Time is always of the essence. So I've got to give a shout out, final shout out time. Everybody that's involved with this project. You know, starting with Mopar Joe coming up with the block, Charlie Savidio with the cylinder heads and his buddies that supplied the other necessary parts and pieces. Shane Polito for doing the oil mods to the block. Daniel Powell for going to be doing the machine work. I do think so. Just asterisk out beside that. And anyone else who has contributed to this. I know that Rodney Bird had sent me a camshaft. It was a hydraulic camshaft, so I'm not going to be able to use that, but I still want to give him thanks for supplying that. One last tidbit of information is while we were at Edelbrock, Shane Polito gave us a tour of a lifetime. That's going to be a completely separate video because I have a ton of footage to download, sort through, edit, so on and so forth. I got to give Trent Goodwin a shout out for making all of that becoming possible. And I cannot wait to see how much power we can get out of this little 318 when it's all said and done, because even version 1.0 with those cylinder heads, there is enough flow there through a 178 intake valve to crest 500 horsepower. It would be tough, but I think it's possible. So until next time, this is Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage in the new Unity Motorsports Garage home. I will catch you later.